Hey friend, welcome back to another episode of the Methodcast. Pull up a chair, grab a warm drink, and let's talk about something that touches more lives than most would dare admit. The journey of healing from porn addiction. Yeah, I know, it's a heavy topic. But stay with me because this story isn't about staying stuck. It's about finding light in a place where many feel lost. Let's start with something that almost every user feels but hardly talks about. Emptiness. You know that feeling, right? You finish watching porn, you shut the laptop, and suddenly the silence hits like a wall. It's not just quiet, it's hollow. That dull ache in the chest, that weird unease in the gut. It's not hunger, not sleepiness, just something missing. Many who struggle with this habit find themselves using it not just for pleasure, but to fill that exact void. Over time, what starts as stimulation becomes sedation. It becomes a way to numb that gnawing feeling of I'm not enough. And here's the thing, fantasy plays a sneaky role in this. Users don't just watch images. They build mental movies where they are adored, powerful, wanted. It's not even about sex anymore. It's about identity. These fantasies offer a glimpse into a version of self that feels complete, loved, and safe. The catch? It's not real. And after every high comes the crash, a return to the same old script, shame, guilt, and disconnection. But let's zoom out for a second. Why do we get hooked in the first place? The EasyPeasy method hits the nail on the head here. It explains that we don't chase the pleasure, we chase relief. Relief from boredom, stress, loneliness, insecurity. The real hook isn't in the pixels, it's in the promise that this thing will temporarily make everything feel okay. But guess what? It never does. It gives a sugar rush to a starving soul, and that crash is always waiting on the other side. Now, this is the part that matters most, the turnaround. The beginning of freedom. At first, recovery feels like standing in front of a mirror without filters. You see yourself without the armor of dopamine, without the fantasy haze, and it can feel raw, excruciating even. But it's also honest, and with honesty comes power. Many who quit feel overwhelmed by the flood of emotions they'd been avoiding. Shame, fear, sadness, or anger. But that's not failure. That's healing. The easy-peasy perspective reminds us that these feelings were always there. They weren't created by quitting, they were just finally heard. And unlike porn, which offers a false escape, the healing process offers real, grounded freedom. One of the most powerful insights from EasyPeasy is this: you're not giving anything up. That might sound wild, but let's unpack it. What you're quitting is a lie, an illusion, an emotional parasite that promises paradise and delivers emptiness. You're not losing pleasure. You're regaining your ability to feel real pleasure again. In laughter, in touch, in silence, in life. People often ask, but won't I be deprived without it? That's the trap talking. It's like fearing starvation after giving up junk food. The truth? Real nourishment is waiting. Joy that doesn't fade after a few seconds. Connection that doesn't need a screen. Sleep that actually rests. Confidence that isn't built on hiding but on showing up. Let me tell you something beautiful that happens along the way. The fantasy begins to lose its grip. Not because you resist it harder, but because you see through it. You start to notice the absurdity, the artificiality, the way it shrinks your world. And instead of feeling tempted, you feel compassion for the old self that thought he needed it. And then the emptiness, it starts to fill. Not with noise, not with distraction, but with presence. With the ability to just be, to feel, to breathe. You begin to notice nature again. Smiles, music, conversations. Your senses return. Your mind gets sharper. You laugh more. You trust yourself. That's not deprivation. That's resurrection. One person once said it like this: before I quit, I felt like a hollow shell with a glossy mask. Now I feel like I've returned to being human. That's the gift of healing, and it's a gift available to anyone who dares to stop running. Now, let's talk a bit more about that internal shift. In easy-peasy terms, the addiction isn't the problem. It's the belief that porn provides something you need. Break that belief, and the monster loses its teeth. That's why this method doesn't focus on cutting down or white-knuckling your way through. It focuses on clarity, on seeing porn for what it really is, a thief of your time, your joy, your presence. And when you see it that clearly, quitting isn't this mountain of willpower. It's a sigh of relief. It's coming home to yourself. No more inner war. No more hiding tabs. No more fractured self. Let's not sugarcoat it though, triggers still come. But you don't fear them anymore. You recognize them as echoes of an old belief, a dying system. And with each choice to stay free, your freedom deepens. There's a moment in recovery, maybe weeks in, maybe months, where the world feels brighter. Not metaphorically, literally. Colors seem fuller, food tastes better, hugs feel warmer. That's not magic. That's what happens when your brain isn't hijacked by artificial highs. It's the return of sensitivity, the restoration of your emotional palate. And you begin to relate differently too, with others, with yourself. Shame lifts, intimacy deepens. You stop measuring your worth by secrecy and start living in alignment. That shift, no therapist, no trick, no blocker, can force it, but clarity can spark it. And the easy peasy approach, it's a flashlight in that fog. So if you're listening to this wondering, could this really be true for me? Let me just say, it already is. The real you isn't the one who's stuck. It's the one noticing the stuckness. The part of you that wants out, that's your truest self calling you home. And that self, strong, grounded, alive, isn't something you have to build. It's something you uncover. Recovery is not about becoming someone new. It's about remembering who you were before the addiction whispered lies into your ears. And as you walk this path, remember, you're not alone. Millions have walked it, and many are walking it right now. So wherever you are, whether on day 1 or year 10, take a breath. You're not broken. You're not weak. You're waking up, and this path you're on, it doesn't lead to more control. It leads to more freedom. That's it for today's Methodcast. Stay kind to yourself. Stay curious. And remember, there is nothing missing in you. You lack nothing. You are already whole. Until next time, if this touched something in you, don't keep it to yourself. Subscribe, share it, and leave a thought in the comments. We're not just quitting, we're awakening. Until next time, be kind to yourself and keep walking toward the life you already deserve.